You guys, I literally just had my fan on and I just turned it off and now it's like eerily quiet and I don't like it. I'm also sweating profusely. So if I got pit stains towards the end of this video, mind your business, okay?
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Are you guys proud of me? I actually took notes for once. We'll see if I actually stick to the script. I probably won't, but you know, at least it's here. At least it's here for my sanity. What's up, you guys? It's Katie and welcome back to my channel. For those that are new, hi, hey, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. For those who have been here, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. We're going to be going over all of the books that I read in March and April. And I know, girl, it's literally the middle of May and this is long overdue. It has been a busy couple of months. I don't even know how or why. I've just been randomly busy this whole year, actually. That's very peculiar and not normal for me at all, but yeah. Anyways, here we are. I figured that you guys still want the reading wrap up. I still want to film it so I can document the books that I read. So that's what we're doing today. Is this even in focus, girl? For those who have seen my other videos, you probably have heard me reiterate this multiple times, but I am a huge mood reader and I've been in a mood for the past couple of months. Okay, you're gonna see what I mean once we get to the books, but girl, this honestly should just be entitled like sad books and rating sad books because what was going on? I don't know, but we're out of the funk. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, bitch. But anyways, girl, okay. This is why I need to make a script because I never stay on point. I also forgot my rings. Oh my god, I feel naked. Between the past 2 months, March and April, I have read a total of 11 books. 2 of them were books that I started in February actually, and I ended up finishing them in March, so I'm going to be going over my final thoughts of those books. That being said, we're going to get into the reading stats, okay, because I know that you guys maybe care, maybe you don't, I don't know, but we're going to get into the reading stats now. So I read 3 romances, 2 fantasies, 2 literary fictions, 2 classics, 1 historical fiction, and 1 mystery thriller. And I literally went as far as to count the total pages that I've read and also the average rating. So the average rating for the past couple of months was a 3.36. Yeah, it's been brutal. The total number of pages that I read was 4,122 pages. Yeah, I'm also a really harsh rater, so don't even be surprised about the 3.36. That's pretty much, apparently, I think on Goodreads, damn, I don't know my phone. Let's see. Girl, I've read more than 103 books, but whatever. Apparently on my Goodreads, I've only rated 103 books, and of those 103 books, my average rating is a 3.72. So don't even be surprised about the 3.36, okay? I hardly ever rate books 5 stars, so if you ever hear me say that a book is 5 stars, you should definitely pick it up because I don't just throw that shit out. Like it has to meet different criteria in order to be a 5 star, okay? I'm literally like I will rate a book 4.75 instead of a 5 star because I only give those 2 books that deserve it. I actually saw a video of someone saying it's annoying how people overanalyze books instead of just accepting for them for what they are. And like, if you enjoyed it, it's a 5 star. If you didn't, then you don't give it a 5 star. And I was like, I wish I could do that, but I have to give credit where credit's due. I can't just be saucing that shit out like it doesn't matter because it does. That being said, let's get into the books, girl. I also don't know if I've said this already or not, but I am on a book buying ban, so I've been trying to get through my physical TBR, so you probably know or have read a majority of the books that I ended up reading. They've been sitting on my physical TBR for years, and I decided to just freaking pick them up. Let's just get into the books, because that's literally the only reason why you guys probably clicked on the video. Anyway, book number 1, if you watched my other reading wrap-up, no surprise here, it's The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I read this from February 26th to March 11th, and this, for those who haven't read this book, this is a popular TikTok book that has been long overdue. It's been sitting on my TBR cart. I'm sure you guys already know what this book is about, but for those who don't, this is an adult romance about a biology research student who ends up growing a relationship with her research professor, or a research professor, I should say. For those who aren't on Book Talk or whatever, this is Ali Hazelwood's like OG book that went viral forever ago. Y'all are crazy for this one. I don't know how I've gone years without knowing that Miss Allie Hazelwood likes her smut, but I did not know that. And it was way too much for me. Listen, I can get down with a little bit of smut, but this one was just too much. It was literally just way too much. I mean, to each their own, whatever, but not for me. I ended up rating this book 3 stars because of the smut. I really did enjoy the STEM part of this because I am a STEM girly, okay? So I loved that and learning more about the science aspect to it, and also, you know, research student with research professor. Cute. Honestly, this made me question if I wanted to read her other books just because it's just not really my cup of tea. Like, I'd rather have like a heavy plot with like a subset of romance than like straight up bangin', personally. That's just my hot take. The tension was insane. Like, the buildup was crazy. I did eat that shit up until we got to like page 60, and then it ended up being 2 chapters straight of pure smut. And then it got creepy, and then I started thinking about Allie Hazelwood sitting at her desk like writing the shit out, and it was just like, I got the ick, okay? And so I actually ended up switching to the audiobook because I knew that I wasn't going to get through it if it was continuing to be like that. Which, also listening to the audiobook while there's this much smut was a little crazy. You know, that was a little bit wild. This is a fake dating trope for those who don't know, and the reasoning behind them even getting into fake dating is because Olive wants to let her best friend know that she's moved on, so then her best friend can get with her ex-boyfriend. Could not be me, but okay, sure. Like, girl, what the fuck? What the fuck? I ignored it because I'm like, whatever, it's a book talk book. There's, of course, some weird shit like that is gonna be the premise of the book. Once you just ignore that part, it still was just, I don't know. The overuse of smut was just, it was overkill, and it really docked a lot of stars off of this book for me. Yeah, also I honestly forgot a majority of the stuff that happened in here. I think it's because I started tuning out, but yeah, it just got creepy. I ended up giving it a 3 star. If you like smut, then it might be worth the hype to you, but honestly, I don't know how I feel about this. It was kind of just like a wash for me. If there wasn't that much smut, I think that I would have enjoyed it more, but yeah, I didn't know that Miss Allie Hazelwood really likes her smut before I got into the book. So if you didn't know that either, now you do. All of her books I think are pretty smutty like that, so that was the first book that I read. It took me like 2 weeks to read it. Okay, the second book. This is where we start, like, you'll see in just a minute, but the next one is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. This is an adult literary fiction, and I actually started this back in February. I started this February 7th, and I finished it March 18th, so it took literally over a month for me to finish this. I had a lot to say when I originally read this book, and I literally wrote 2 pages worth of notes on here. Now that literally 2 months have pretty much passed since I've read this, I don't feel like going into the nitty-gritty about everything in this book. First of all, before I get into what I have to say about this, for those who are unaware, have not picked this up yet, this book is about a single man's life. The shit that I've seen on the internet is everyone saying that this is about a friend group. It is not about a friend group. It's literally about our main character, Jude, and his whole life. Like, literally his whole entire fucking life. Hence why it's called A Little Life, all right? You get to see some parts of the friend group, but it's really about Jude, okay? So for those who think that it's about a friend group, I don't think we read the same book, or I think that maybe you stopped reading it after like 100 or 200 pages, because it's not about a friend group. It's about one guy. That being said, we're gonna start with the positives, because I know where to give credit when credit's due, okay? I know for a sole fact Hanya Yanagihara is a phenomenal writer because I read 602 pages without stopping and not even realizing that I had just read 602 pages, okay? The way that she crafts sentences as well, and her writing style in general, was just beautiful, and I feel like I maybe would enjoy her other writings, but I would never recommend this book to anyone. No, I would never recommend this book to anyone. I am all for mental health, talking about mental health and normalizing and ending the stigma, okay? But the undertone of this entire novel was romanticizing and fetishizing abuse, and it was literally trauma dumping on every page. And look, there's so many different things that I could talk about, but obviously trigger warnings, I'm not gonna do that to you guys, but like the takeaway that you got from this entire book after you finish it, I would never in a million years tell somebody to read this book. ever. I'm not going to recommend this book to you guys at all. I think that the fact that it's hyped up on the internet honestly kind of infuriates me a little bit, because I think that there are so many other books that you can read about mental health that talk about certain things in here. I ended up rating this 2 stars actually, and the only reason why I gave it 2 stars and not 0 is because of her writing style and because I know that she is a great writer. That might not make sense to some of you, but hopefully that makes sense to some of you at the same time, because yeah, I feel like a lot of people who are hyping this up being like, oh my god, read this book, it's so sad, like you'll bawl your eyes out. I don't know if I'm a sociopath, but I didn't fucking cry. I did not cry when I read this book. I was just pissed. Like, I just got mad. And yeah, people have different reactions to things, but I just got mad more so because people are romanticizing the fact that this book makes you cry instead of realizing the shit that goes on in here, and also acknowledging the fact that this shit does happen in real life. And I think that the people who are ignorant in knowing that are the ones who are sobbing about it on the internet, talking about how it's like so good, it's so crazy. It's not actually crazy. It's not actually crazy, and that's the fucked up part. This book was written, I think, in 2015 or something. Also, the floppiness of this book, 12 out of 10. Love that, but just the book in general, I would never recommend to anyone. Yes, this was written in 2015. Has anyone checked in on Hanya? I think the publishing house, Hanya, her entire team, the editor, whatever, you really have to genuinely think about what you're putting out into the world. The fact that there's teenagers reading this book is actually uncalled for. It's actually appalling and uncalled for that there are teenagers literally reading this book. Why? That's literally, it's reminding me of when teenagers were reading It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover that was romanticizing domestic violence and abuse. Like, God, I hated that book. I do not like this book because people are reading it for the wrong reasons. And I think that if you are literally under the age of 25 years old, you should not be reading this book. Point blank, period. I don't think anyone should read this book, but if you are underneath the age of 25, you definitely should not be reading this book. Point blank, period. Okay? That being said, we're gonna stop being a negative Nancy. Again, I just want to reiterate that she is a great writer, and yeah, it just felt like she was trying to, it was almost as if she was trying so hard to push the boundary for this book and see how far she could go, and she overstepped. She overstepped completely. Anyone who loves this book and can identify with stuff that's going on in here, I just want you to know that you're loved, you're valued, you are appreciated, and you have a purpose, and there's other books that give you strength and courage to keep going. Okay, so yeah, this honestly just pissed me off, and it's pissing me off even more thinking about who is reading this book and the damage that it could do. Like, it's not going to do anything beneficial to you for reading this book. It's not. It's not going to do anything beneficial for you. You want a book about resilience? Read The Glass Castle. Read The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Literally read Alone with You in the Ether. That's not the best recommendation because this obviously is more like in-depth, but yeah, just if you want to read a book about mental health, this is not the one to read. Just so you know. Also, I've never sat down to have a conversation with Hanya Yanagihara. I've never met her. I do not know her story. I don't know what she has gone through. You never know what anyone else is going through, only what people tell you. You only know what you have experienced in life, you know what I mean? We're gonna get deep for a sec, but I feel like the way that she was writing about certain stuff, I could tell what she genuinely understood and the stuff that maybe she researched before she made the book, and maybe something that didn't resonate with her. There were certain things that were just so cliche that I'm like, dude, come on. Like, just some of the stuff was just so cliche, and it was annoying to me and infuriating to me because I'm like, no offense, but if you're gonna write about stuff like this, you should be writing a fucking memoir. Like, it should be a memoir. You shouldn't be talking about this in a fiction setting. Like, I don't know, you guys. Yeah, whatever. We're gonna move on. I don't even know if I'm gonna include that because I don't want to be offensive or anything or people to take that the wrong way, but honestly, I don't think there's any way to talk about this book without being controversial because of the shit that's in here. I would never recommend this to anyone, and I want whoever who has ever read this or anyone who's going through the things that are in this book to know that you are loved, you're valued, you're appreciated, and you have a purpose, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you will get through it, okay? So, yeah. We're gonna put this down because I don't even want to look at it anymore. If you know somebody who is struggling and going through things like this, speak up. Talk to them. Acknowledge it. Talk to them about it. Let them know that you're there for them. Don't just sit and ignore it. That is the worst possible thing that you could possibly ever fucking do. Just so you know. I feel like that's common fucking sense, but if you didn't know that, talk to your friends. Talk about mental health. You know, I think that what she was trying to do in this book is bring all of this to light so people would talk about it, but the undertone and the takeaway was not something that I would ever just No, that's not the point of talking about mental health, okay? So yeah. Okay, now we're gonna get into the books that I haven't even talked about yet, because these are books that I actually read in March and in April, not in another month. So first up, we have The Will of the Many by James Islington. My feet are, bro, oh, I need to stretch my legs real quick, hang on. My foot's numb. Just give me 2 seconds real quick while I stretch my legs and get some water. Also, I will say, I never in a million years thought that I was gonna cave and get a Stanley, but ever since I've gotten one, my life has changed. I get it, I do. Okay, so for those who have never heard of this book before, it's about an orphan. His name is Vis, and he is brought into a prestigious family who sends him to an academy where he's learning how to pretty much become a government official in a way, and there's different rankings and just so much stuff that goes on in here. It's kind of hard to put into freaking words, but that's basically the whole premise of it. This is a great book. It is so heavily similar to Harry Potter. What did I say? I think it said it was a combination of Harry Potter and Hunger Games and What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. It's so heavily similar to those 3 plot lines. And listen, I totally understand why people love this book. I ended up rating it a 4.5, I'm pretty sure. Like, obviously I'm gonna like it because I love Harry Potter. You know what's crazy is I was always considered a Hufflepuff. Like, all my friends would tell me that I'm a Hufflepuff, and also whenever I would take the quiz online, it would tell me that I'm a Hufflepuff. But I recently retook the quiz and now I'm a Slytherin, which, like, I get, but I kind of want to be a Hufflepuff. But, like, also maybe, I mean, Slytherin house is where it's at. Whatever. Okay, anyways, you guys don't give a shit. I'm talking about this book, not Harry Potter. I mean, there's no way to, like, not talk about Harry Potter when I'm talking about this book, because this is just so heavily similar. I literally made a list of how many similarities there were. So if you don't want to know anything about this and you want to go in blindly and just go based off of what I just loosely told you, then you can skip to this number. I'm going to put it on the screen for you, and then I'll continue with my review. It might loosely be spoilers, but it's not actually, because it's just pretty much more information about the plot. But if you want to go into it more blindly, then just ignore what I'm about to say. But if you want to know, then here, I'll give you my reason. Why is this similar to Harry Potter? There's the chosen orphan boy, 3 best friends, elite school with hidden mysteries, professors that like the chosen boy, professors that hate the chosen boy and try to sabotage him. There's students humbling the chosen boy when they first meet him. There's a forbidden area right outside of the school. Even more so, it's a forest. There's a maze. There's a significance to chess, or a form of chess. There's a significance of knights and battling as a knight. There's a dog-like creature that helps the main character. There's scenes in the sewage system. There's a class trip outside of school. There's a semester break where the main character takes the time to go places where he's not supposed to and learn more information about the hidden mystery that's going on. The name of the bad guy in this book starts with a V, and he is the rival of the good fatherly figure of the main character. The fatherly figure has a female sidekick that helps teach the chosen boy. There's secret tunnels and passageways. There's different class ranks or different groups that you're supposed to stay within inside of the elite society. There's also different dormitories that are set up differently depending on whatever rank you're in or whatever group you're in. And generally speaking, you will only talk with people from your group, but the main character branches out and will talk to people regardless of whatever group they're in. For the similarities of Hunger Games, there's the Battle Royale, including hunters. There's also the battle in stadiums for haves to find a good fighter in the have-nots. There's the politics, and then there's also the tier ranks of society. There's the sapiers, or sappers, and the prisoners in the lowest totem pole. For What the River Knows, there's pyramids, and then there's a journey by boats, is what I think that they are. I think they're boats, but there's journey by boats to a hidden land to then solve a pyramid mystery, pretty much. And there's like hieroglyphs and stuff. So yeah, it's very similar to all of those books. That being said, it's great. It's just more, it's the main plot points of other books, but he decided to throw in the Roman Empire to make it a twist. So it's actually like Roman elite and like Julius Caesar type shit, even though they had the main plots as the other books that I just mentioned. mentioned. It's technically not the same because it's Romanian, but it also, like, it was almost like a copy paste. We're just gonna twinge a little bit of the main points and then make it Romanian, and now is Romanian and Roman the same thing? Because I keep saying Romanian. I think so. Just steal all the plot points and make it Roman, and that's how we got this book. That being said, it's a great book. Clearly, I just named 3 phenomenal books and series, so I felt like I was reading this for straight up 22 miles straight, no water. I was huffing and puffing waiting to get through this freaking book, and it felt like I was reading it throughout the Stone Ages. Like, glaciers were moving in Antarctica. Like, I'm not kidding, 40 years passed while I was reading this book. I was enjoying my time once I got into the groove of reading it, but every time that I had to put it down to go do something and then think about reading this, I literally felt the utmost dread and did not want to. But then I would read it and I'm like, oh, okay, it's not that bad. But just because of how long it took me to read different pages, I was like, no, this is just gonna take forever. I'm not even kidding. I actually did time myself. It took me 4 hours to read 40 pages of this. I knew that if I didn't pick it up though, then I wouldn't even hardly make a dent in the book, so that's what kept me going. It will take you a long time to get through this, so if you want to read this before the release of the second book, then you should read it now. It's definitely worth it, and especially if you really like fantasy and probably, honestly, dark academia too, which I love. I love academic setting, and I love Harry Potter, so if you're a Potterhead, you're probably gonna like this too. I honestly started to feel a little bit borderline slumpy while I was reading this, just because of how long it would take me to get through a very few amount of pages, which normally, by the way, it typically takes me like, maybe I can read a page a minute, sometimes faster than that, but there's no reason why 40 pages should take you 4 hours to read. Like, I mean, it's like small writing, so maybe that's why. Oh my god, that's the other thing. I don't know if it's just this book or if it's everyone's books who has the hardcover, but the spine, do you see that? Can you see my eyeball? The spine is coming off. Another critique that I have is this is a very manly book. And I don't mean this in a misogynistic way. I'm a woman and I still enjoyed this book. But it's very much macho muscle man, sweaty, bloody, punching other dudes and getting scrappy in togas type of vibe. There's no women in power, and literally all of these men would probably suck Julius Caesar's pinky toe if they had the opportunity. It's very much barbaric men type shit. Another critique that I have is the bridge to the ending seemed rushed, and honestly it felt like James Islington knew that he wanted the ending to be a specific thing, but he didn't know how to get from point A to point B. So then there was like this weird point when you're almost to the end of the book that just didn't make sense. And I get it's a fantasy and you don't really question fantasy, but everything was like you were aligned with everything while you were reading it until that part. It was just so random in my opinion. And I was like, what? Like, I don't know. It was just, yeah, I'm being so vague because I don't want to do spoilers or anything, but hopefully the people who have read this know what part I'm talking about. It was just kind of really random and weird. It just didn't match the correlation to the story at all and absolutely made no sense whatsoever. But I mean, what are you gonna do? Also, the ending, the synchronism chapters confused me. I don't know if I was supposed to read that part. I mean, it's part of the book, so I felt like I didn't complete the book until I finished those chapters, but I don't even know what that means. Like, am I dumb? Or are you guys confused too? If you've read this book, let me know, because I genuinely was like, what? Like, what does that even mean? I don't know. But yeah, that being said, this is worth the hype, in my opinion. If you liked Harry Potter, you're gonna like this book. If you like Julius Caesar, you're gonna like this book. If the Roman Empire is your Roman Empire, read this book. Even though I felt like I was reading this for like 20 centuries, I probably will pick up the second book of the series just because I have a feeling it's gonna be very much compared to Harry Potter, and I wanna keep reading because it's intriguing and I liked it. I gave it a 4.5 star. So yeah, I'm gonna end up reading the second book, but I've been talking about this one for way too long. We're gonna move on. Ow. Hold up. The amount of times I have to like stop filming just to stretch my legs is actually insane. I feel like a young granny. The sun keeps peeking in and out, so I'm sorry if the lighting keeps changing, but the next book that I picked up was Funny Story by Emily Henry. In this book, we have our female main character, Daphne, who was engaged to her fiance, Peter, who ended up canceling their wedding and falling in love with his childhood best friend, Petra. So Peter and Petra are now together. Daphne is SOL. She's got to find a new place to live because now Peter and Petra are moving into her home, so she's getting kicked out right before the wedding that was supposed to happen. Petra was dating a dude named Miles, who is our main male character. So now that Petra is leaving Miles to be with Daphne's ex-fiance, he needs a roommate. Daphne's out of a living situation. Honestly, I kind of forgot how they even came up with the idea to become roommates, but...
And they were roommates.
Yeah, they become roommates, they end up living with each other, and they're trying to heal themselves from their breakups while they're also living together. I will say the beginning of this book was so funny and quirky. I literally was laughing out loud, and I thought that it was hilarious, and I thought that the whole plot was really funny. But then after like page 50, the quick witty humor, it was like overdone, and it was taking away from the main point of the book. There would literally be times when I would forget what was going on in the book because I was just so distracted by the bouncing around from like trying to be funny while also trying to continue the story, if that makes any fucking sense. Yeah, that's how I felt. I honestly wanted to DNF this book, but then I was like, no, I have to finish it because I have to know the end of it, and also this was the only Emily Henry book that I hadn't read yet, and I wanted to finish it before her new release, which actually came out at the beginning of May. So yeah, I was like, I need to finish this. We're just gonna listen to the audiobook. The audiobook was literally worse. Like I think when I knew that I didn't like Happy Place either, I ended up listening to the audiobook, and the audiobook was also annoying just based off of whoever the voice actor is. No offense, but the voice that she would use and her different character voices were annoying. And just in case you guys didn't know, Funny Story won 2024 Goodreads Best Audiobook. I do not know how. That shit was annoying as fuck. I didn't know what to do. I basically forced myself to finish this, to suck up and just listen to the audiobook and like kind of tune out while I'm listening to it. So I don't really remember much about this. All I know is that I didn't enjoy it. I thought that it was annoying. The audiobook was annoying. I love sarcasm, girl. I love sarcasm. I love funny and quirky stuff, but it was so overdone. And also, she hyper fixated on the fact that Miles smokes dank. Maybe it's just me, but she really had to make that clear to all of us. And she also painted it as if he was like a bum for doing so. And I was like, girl, clearly you've never puff pass before. Clearly you've never been a part of a rotation. Okay, maybe she has, but honestly she'd be kind of fucking funny in this shit. I don't know if she was trying to be relatable or whatever, but it came off cringy and judgmental and honestly just like annoying. She told us without telling us, but she also kind of did tell us, that having an odd job or working in the service industry is not a job and it's not a career and you're a bum if you do that. Girl, clearly you need to touch grass and get a glimpse of reality, because I know plenty of people who have left their careers or their real jobs to join the service industry and to do odd jobs, and girl, they make more money than you would imagine, okay? And also we need those people in the world, so why are you looking down on those types of people? Okay? I don't know who needs to hear this, but there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know, this entire book gave me the ick, and I also feel like she went overkill with the smut in here, which I don't even believe that her previous books really had that much smut. But this one, it felt like I was rereading The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood again, and I didn't want to be reading that. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would have enjoyed this a lot more if she didn't focus so much on making the exes jealous. Like I got to a point where I'm like, dude, just move on. Who cares about them? Like, good for them. Let them be happy. Move on. Shit sucks, okay? I would never... That sucks, okay? I feel for you. That sucks. But fuck them. Like, screw them. Who cares, you know? Move on and find somebody who wants to be with you and spend the rest of their life with you. You know what I mean? Don't be settling for that bullshit and don't get wrapped up in that shit. That's shitty as hell, and who cares? That just shows more about their character than whatever. I'm getting way too into this. I feel like I would have enjoyed the plot a lot more if Daphne and Miles became friends first and were helping each other move on and like get rebounds or like just do stuff, and then they ended up growing a friendship, and then they realized that they liked each other after some time instead of doing the fake dating route, because the fake dating route is just, again, bringing it back to making your exes jealous. And I just thought that that was an immature ass thing to do personally, so I just didn't really enjoy this. But yeah, I've said this before on my channel, Emily Henry has always been a hit or a miss author for me, and I really do think that she's overhyped personally. After reading this book and having Happy Place also be a miss for me, I don't want to read any of her other books. Like, I'm not even gonna be caring about other people talking about how good Emily Henry's books are anymore, because I just don't care. Like, I just don't care to read her anymore. I've read all of her backlist aside from her new release that just came out, and I have no urgency to pick it up. Like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna pick it up. I just think that I'm over her. to be honest. I think that I'm gonna move on from the Emily Henry train, so. The cover's cute, and the spine's cute. It really doesn't have anything to do with the book, but it's cute, so she's got cute covers. We'll give her that. I think that I ended up rating this 3 stars, but the more that I think about it, I just really didn't like it, and I think that I'd give it a 2 star. I don't know. I don't even know how to rate this, but we'll settle with a 2.5. 2 star? Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really care, but just know that I read this, and yeah. I ended up reading this March 18th to March 26th, so took like a week. Yeah, moving on. I need some water. Dude, I've literally been talking for like an hour and we're not even halfway through the books. What's going on? This next one's gonna be quick and easy. It's The Stranger. Why did I just... I'm like about to like slap a bitch with this. What? This is The Stranger by Albert Camus. It's such a trippy cover, dude. Like, it looks really crazy when I'm holding it up, but... This is actually an adult classic. An adult classic? Yeah, that's a genre. I was just gonna say classic. I mean, you would know what I mean, but yeah. This is honestly a really quick read. It's 123 pages and you could finish it in one sitting. That's what I did. I ended up finishing it on March 26th, right after I finished Funny Story. I picked this one up and the switch up is crazy, but this is an adult classic for those who don't know and who have never heard of it or have never read it before. It's a classic. Some people I think read this in high school. It honestly sounded familiar, so I don't know if I read this before or not. I think I did. I don't know, but I read it now, so who cares? This is about a man and a murder and going to trial for said murder. This book makes you think. Like, this book is really short, but it's really powerful. I can understand why it's a banned book. And you know, I gotta point out weird shit whenever I'm reading weird shit, but this dude was fascinated with women's boobs. Just so you know. Just so you know, it's just brought up a lot. Unfortunately, that's how it is for a lot of classics, but it was just, it got creepy. It got fucking weird. And normally I can just be like, whatever, it's a classic, but just know that that's in there because it got fucking weird. And also there are trigger warnings in here, so know that as well. But yeah, I just felt really uncomfortable during those parts. But I mean, just have to point those out because I always have to. Would I recommend this? Not necessarily. I don't think that, like, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but if you're like me and you want to get more into reading other classics and get those under your belt, then just know that this is a popular one that a lot of people have probably read. So yeah, I ended up rating this 3 stars. That's all. Okay, and then next up we have Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home, which is the 3rd book in the Magnolia Parks universe series by Jessa Hastings. Honestly, you guys, I do not like this series. However, I made the mistake of purchasing the entire series at one point that now I have them, so I'm just reading them. I've mentioned this series on my channel before, but for those who are unaware, it's pretty much like a London socialite Gossip Girl type of vibe where they're all celebrities and they're all in the like tabloids and people are keeping tabs on them and there's a crap ton of drama. I genuinely cannot with the amount of toxicity. And I know that everyone who loves this series is like, you just have to overlook that. How? How are you guys just being so ignorant? This is such a toxic series, and I feel like if you're young and you do not know that this is a toxic series, God save your soul. All of these people are toxic. No one is a good person. Everyone sucks. Everyone gaslights and manipulates each other, and I don't like anyone in this series. The few people that I did like, I don't like them now for whatever reason. And I know that some people say that you just have to ignore that. The people who like will stand with this entire series will be like, you just have to overlook it. It's more for entertainment. Girl, I was entertained with Gossip Girl, and you're comparing this to Gossip Girl, but Gossip Girl, at least they knew that they were pieces of shit. You know what I mean? Like, these people are so ignorant that it's infuriating. I'm not even exaggerating. I genuinely had to go get freaking aspirin because of the amount of freaking headaches that I got from reading this book. The beginning half of the book, I was like, oh, okay, there's gonna be finally character development. Like, we're gonna have some people learn, you know, how to be a real person in this series. And then I went back to how the first book was, and yo, this is trash, okay? Everybody's insecure. Everybody's flamingly insecure and manipulative and narcissistic. Just God, so toxic. I'm so annoyed that I purchased the entire series because I feel like I have the obligation to read it, but I just genuinely, I get mad, I feel dumb when I'm reading this, I feel ignorant when I'm reading this. I don't like the way that I feel when I read this series, and honestly, I could save myself some headaches by not reading the rest of this series, but I have the books, so I might. It's honestly really frustrating and infuriating to me that this is getting so much hype and people are romanticizing this behavior because what? Like, what? Y'all, go touch some grass, okay? Go touch some damn grass and then tell me that you think that this book is good, because what are you talking about? I felt like I was getting gaslit the entire time that I was reading this, and there was trauma dumping on nearly every single page. Whatever you've gone through in life does not give you an excuse to be a shitty person, okay? I don't know if you needed me to say that or not, but if you needed me to say that, what you've gone through doesn't give you any form of excuse for not unlearning that behavior, because you have the right to choose. You're just choosing not to unlearn it and become a better person. Don't be coming at me with some bullshit excuses as to why you're acting like a piece of trash, bro. Like grow the frick up. You know what I mean? This was just so triggering, and it felt like I was pulling teeth just to get through it. You know when Dumbledore used his wand to take out the memories and throw them in the dish, and like he's saving them for later? I wish I could do that, but not save it for later. Like, I just want it completely out of my fucking head. Like, I don't even want to remember anything about the series. I want it completely purged from my life. I don't want to manifest any of this shit into my life. I genuinely think that every character who is in this friend group needs to go touch grass, get a hobby, and find a new friend group, because why are you guys friends? Why are you guys still hanging out with each other? All of you guys need to part ways and do some other shit. I can't say much more without spoiling anything, but just know that everyone's toxic and no one cares, and everyone lies and manipulates each other, and the people who are rooting for certain characters to get together are clearly failing at realizing that. Also, Magnolia Parks, who is the main character of this, one of her quirks is she's obsessed with fashion, and she always talks about like high-end fashion and all the stuff and what she's looking like, and like pointing out people's outfits. And some people like that, but it's honestly annoying. It's taking away from the, like, I just got so annoyed of it because there was so much of that in this book. I couldn't even literally picture what these people even looked like because I had no idea what she was saying. Like, I don't know what a 2007 Ghani gown looks like. Like, what? You know? Like, I just don't. I know the brands that you're talking about, but I don't know what that looks like. And you're not describing it to me. You're just telling me the brand for the most part. I was zoning out every time that she would do that because it was so often and it was annoying as hell. The way that I'm envisioning the way that these characters look is probably so entirely different from every other person who has read this series because I made it up. I don't know. To not be so negative about it, there were quotes in here that were good and I resonated with a few of them and I did save some of them. But overall, morally and ethically, I would never recommend this to anyone to pick up. Anytime I'm reading this, I'm thinking about the fact that whatever content you're consuming, you're subconsciously putting it in your brain, and I should not be filling my brain with this dead rot shit. Like, I genuinely wanted to sprinkle holy water on myself and purify my soul after reading this. Overall, I rated this a 3 stars. It's better than the first one. I still like Daisy more than Magnolia, but I honestly could care less about the series, and I really am not looking forward to reading the rest of the series at all. Even if it's Daisy next, I just don't care. And I would not recommend this series to you guys, but I finished it and I read it. So I read this from March 27th to April 8th, so it took me like 2 weeks again. I don't know, but this is also a really long book. Save yourself. Like, you don't need to read this. I'm sorry. Don't fill yourself with this trash. I do not understand why this book is hyped up on the internet. I would never recommend anyone read this. I said what I said, and I'm not sorry about it. Moving on. Okay, the next book that I read was an adult classic. It's The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I do not know how I've never read this book, but let me tell you, this is a trip, okay? If you really want to get into classics, I would definitely recommend that you listen to the audiobooks if you have Spotify Premium, then they're free on Spotify Premium. Otherwise, you can always rent it from your local library using the app Libby. This is not sponsored at all. I'm just letting you know. That's one of my favorite ways to read classics because it is written in such a unique style. I listened to this and there was literally a quote in here. I don't have my phone with me, but I made a voice memo to record the quote so then I could remember it. It was something about how a portrait is a representation of how the painter views themselves. It was like, he has phenomenal quotes in here. This book is a trip. I went into it completely blind. I knew the basic premise, but for those who don't know, this is about a man who goes insane because he gets a portrait painted of himself. And oh my, the end, he did that. He did that, you know? My mouth hit the floor. I'm like, you wild bitch. Like, you are a crazy bitch, okay? But I love you. I genuinely was laughing of pure shock because I'm like, what did I just get myself into? If you haven't read this book before, this is one of my favorite classics now, I would say. And it's a wild ride, but it's fun. And it was completely a roller coaster. Like, I had no idea where we were going at any point in time. Like, it was just crazy. So yeah, clearly by how much I'm like smiling about this, it's just fun to read. I ended up rating this 4 stars though. I didn't necessarily give it a 5-star, but I audibly gasped at some points because I was baffled. Like, I had no words. At first I was like, why is this a banned book? Like, I don't understand. And then as the story kept progressing, I was like, oh, this is why children shouldn't read this book. That's why. And I get it, but also it's a good banned book, so you should read it if you're not a child. This is a phenomenal psychological thriller. It's honestly just hilarious that this is a classic. Like, just, when was this? I don't even know when this was written, but just thinking about him writing this back in the day, like, that's just insane, and I love it. I loved every second of this. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the video of the streamer listening to Billie Eilish's Hit Me Hard and Soft album for the first time, when he stands up and he's like, Finny, where are we going? Where are we going, Finny? That's how I felt reading this book, and I loved it, okay? Hopefully you guys get that reference. If you don't, look it up because it's hilarious, and that's exactly how I felt when I was listening to Billie's album as well, but literally that video came to mind when I was reading this because that's exactly how I felt reading this book as well. The ending was literally so masterful. Pure mindfuck. I was just... yeah. Oscar literally just mic dropped and then walked the fuck out. Like, what? I literally went down the rabbit hole just to hear other people's interpretation of certain things that happen in the book because I just needed to know. I needed somebody to like talk about it with me. And yeah, this was cool. I really enjoyed it. I definitely recommend it. I actually bought this back when I wanted to read it originally, and it's been sitting on my shelf. And then I started reading it physically and I was like, no, we're gonna switch to the audiobook because I just love the voice actor's voice. So definitely recommend listening to the audiobook if you don't want to actually read the book itself. I honestly have no idea how I've gone 27 years without ever picking this book up, but I'm so glad that I did because it was so fun, and I genuinely want to read more of Oscar Wilde's work after reading this, so there you go. Okay, then I read A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. This one I've literally had on my TBR shelf for years and I just hadn't picked it up yet because I ended up reading Anxious People first, and I did not like Anxious People, so I wasn't really excited to read more of his work. However, this one is good. This one is good. I didn't know. First of all, look up the trigger warnings. If you've never read this book and you want to, look up the trigger warnings beforehand because I did not know anything about this book and I went in completely blind other than thinking that it was about a grumpy old man. This is an adult literary fiction for those who don't know, and I read this from April 8th to April 12th. I absolutely loved this book. I adored this book so much. There were such great quotes in here that I saved. One of them being, I just wanted to know what it felt like to be someone that you look at. Oh my god. That literally, my heart. I love this book so much. It's definitely worth the hype, and it definitely has great takeaways from here as well. A lot of people have said that they sobbed their eyes out when they read this. I didn't sob. I did frown. Like, I was literally heavily frowning and felt extremely emotional while reading this, and I think I may have shed a tear or two, but I was not sobbing. That being said, it definitely pulls on your heartstrings, so just know that before you go into the book. But I loved how Frederick Bachman made light of heavy topics in the way that he did. Yeah, this is about a man called Ove. I think instead of people just automatically saying this is a book about a grumpy old man, they should say that this is a book about a man struggling with mental health. That's what you should say when you talk about this book, because also he's 59, you guys, and 59 is not old. I don't know what like, I get it, some people might think that 27 is old. I used to think that a freaking like 23-year-old was a grandpa when I was back in high school, and maybe my perception of age has just changed over the years, but 59 is not old. He's not old. He's not old at all. No one ever told me about trigger warnings, so I'm here to tell you to look them up before you go into it. This definitely touches heavily on mental health, and I'm not gonna really go into depth because you guys can look it up if you want to know, but just know that it heavily talks about heavy topics regarding mental health, and It portrays mental health in a beautiful way, and I just applaud Frederick Bachman for just the way that he went about writing this book. I literally bursted out laughing at stuff that I genuinely probably should never have laughed at, but the comedic timing was so good, and now I understand his writing a little bit more. I think he's just quick-witted and like quirky, and he has a specific writing style, and in Anxious People it really bothered me because it was my first time reading him and I just thought it was annoying. He has a tendency to make some of his characters just utterly stupid, like just so oblivious and so not all there that it's annoying, because I'm like, why are you making all the side characters just dumb and annoying? It's supposed to be funny, and I get that that's his humor and his writing style and everything, but I was annoyed of it, and that's how the entire book of Anxious People was, and that's how this book is as well, but a little less so, but it's definitely still in there. I hope that made sense with what I just tried to say, because I don't know if that made any sense, but if you've read either of those books, then you probably know what I'm talking about. My stomach is growling right now. I need to go eat. I ended up rating this a 4.5. I honestly kind of want to give it a 5-star, but I had my reservations because of just his specific writing style I'm not a fan of, so it's a 4.5 for me. After I finished reading this, I actually ended up watching the TV or the movie adaptation to this, which was A Man Called Otto with Tom Hanks, and I honestly wish that I watched the original adaptation to this book because they left out a lot of key points in the A Man Called Otto adaptation. I'm gonna wait a little bit and then I'll probably end up watching the A Man Called Ove or Uva or Ove adaptation to it, but yeah, just read the book. It's a lot better in my opinion. The movie was still good, but the book, this is a good book. You should read it. Yeah, I rated this 4.5 stars, and I want to give this book a hug so bad. So there you go. Next up, we have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is a adult historical fiction, and I ended up reading this April 13th to April 18th. So for those who haven't read this book, I know this is a very popular book and has been very popular for a really long time. I feel like I remember when this came out because it was definitely really hyped up back then as well, and it's just a really well-known book for a lot of people, and I'm glad that it's getting more hype because it is really good, and I totally understand why people enjoy this book so much. I felt like I had read this already when I was reading it, and it might just be because I read a lot of historical fiction at one point in time where I was heavily obsessed. Like, I was obsessed with World War II. Like, an unhealthy amount of obsession. I was obsessed with Anne Frank. My mind when I was younger could not grasp with the fact that that shit actually happened. And it was real, you know? Even now, you know, like, just, it's baffling. It's actually insane, and it's sad, and it's just, there's no words for it because I don't even know how that even came about. That's just really fucking fucked up and scary, and yeah, but I was hyper fixated on World War II when I was younger because I just was so mind fucked. I was like, why would someone do that? You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. But anyways, this is about two sisters who are navigating the war in France while Germany is taking over, and the two sisters have completely different realities of what goes on during the war. Throughout the entire story, you have no idea who the narrator is. It's just, you kind of are trying to figure it out as you're reading. I personally guessed who the narrator was. Once I started reading this, it was really hard for me to put down, but it was kind of the same feeling that I had when I was reading The Will of the Many, where I just was not looking forward to picking it back up whenever I would set it down to go do something. I don't know what is up with me in that happening, but that happened to me like 3 times throughout the past couple of months. But yeah, it kind of felt like a chore, and I was dreading picking it back up for some freaking reason. I don't know why, because it is a really good book. The adventurous and outdoorsy scenes made me want to read more books that took place in nature and being outside and being outdoors, and I thought that that was really entertaining and really cool. Also, why at the beginning of the book was I rooting for Captain Beck and Vianne to get together? What? Why was it written like that? I think that it was intentionally written like that, but why was it written like that? You know what I mean? Like, when you sit back and think about it, why are we writing that? Why are we setting us up like that? That's pretty kind of messed up. Isabel's chapters were my favorite. Vianne, I wanted to shake multiple times. I literally just wanted to just be like, girl. I will say that Isabel falling in love really quickly genuinely made me want to gouge my own eyes out, because what do you mean you're in love with somebody after one kiss, bruh? Like, stop it right now. Get your silly little ass up, because what the fuck? Like, I get it. I think that they were trying to show that she was young and had a young mindset and was a bit naive in that way. However, it was still annoying. It was still annoying to read and watch, and I was just like, girl, stop. Like, stop with this mushy gushy shit. Because I've read so many books and seen so many movies about World War II, because I was fascinated with that entire time period at one point in my life, I feel like this story kind of fell flat in the most respectable way possible, because it reminded me a lot of All the Light We Cannot See, and also of the Diary of Anne Frank, which the Diary of Anne Frank is real. So I can totally understand how someone who maybe has not read the Diary of Anne Frank, or who has not watched many movies about World War II, how they would love this book and just be completely like thrown off guard by what's in here. And I understand the hype in that way. However, I just feel like there's other books and movies that do what she's trying to do in here better. And like, I get it, because it's kind of hard when you're taking place in World War II, how to spin a story to make it different and unique from all the other books and movies that are out there. And I do think that she made this very unique in that sense, which round of applause for. But yeah, I don't know. There were a lot of cliches. It was really cringy at some points, and I could not overlook that. Also, this is so niche, but how many times did Kristen Hanna let us know that the war changes people, or that Vianne's admission surprised her? It was so often that I noticed it, and I literally wanted to chuck the book every single time that was said in the novel, because it was just so often and it was annoying. I was like, what does that even mean? Like, what? Why did you have to say it like that? It was annoying as hell. It certainly tugs at your heartstrings, but I didn't bawl my eyes out like you tend to see all over social media. And again, that could be because I'm acclimated to the shit that went on in World War II. I'm not some insensitive person. I know that there's heavy topics in here, and I can understand why people are crying. Overall, I can totally understand the hype. I can totally understand why people are rating this a 5-star. I think Kristen Hanna's writing is phenomenal, and honestly, the entire story and plotline was well thought out and honestly solid in every aspect. However, I ended up settling for a 4-star simply because of the cringy cliches and also because of the repetition of certain things. I do appreciate this book, and I do think that it's important for everyone to read this, even though it is fiction. It's still an important story, in my opinion. If you're not familiar with World War II and you want to read this, just know that there are trigger warnings in here. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I think I read a review where someone was talking about how it seemed as though Kristen Hanna forgot what age the characters were, or like the time frame of certain things. I noticed that too, but I thought that it was just me and I was missing something. But then someone else said it on a review and I was like, wait, I noticed that as well. I don't even know how to explain it other than that it felt like she forgot how old certain characters were at certain points. Like the time frame of certain things just didn't add up. And yeah, but other than that, really good. I would recommend this to people. Just know that there's trigger warnings. So there you go. Then we have The Housemaid's Secret by Freida McFadden. This is the second book in the Housemaid's Trilogy series by Freida McFadden, which is an adult mystery thriller series. And for those who don't know, the first book in the series is actually being adapted into a film right now, starring Sydney Sweeney and also I always forget her name, but it's Karen from Mean Girls. Honestly, I don't really remember what I can and can't say about this series because I don't know what would be considered a spoiler based off of the first book, but it's about a maid who ends up working for a family, and yeah. People are normally mixed about what book they enjoy in this trilogy. I would prefer the first one over the second one in my opinion. As of right now, I still have yet to read the third one, obviously. Well, I guess not obviously, but I still have yet to read the third one, so we'll see what I end up ranking all of these. But yeah, this one just fell flat. Also, her epilogues are the best part of all of her books, and that also fell flat. Like, it was such a boring twist that I was like, really? Like, really, Freida? Honestly, I think the most fun part about reading Freida McFadden books is just seeing her creativity flow and just like where she takes you. I more am just like amazed with her brain because how do you think of all of these things, you know? This book in particular really felt almost YA. Like, her writing style did not feel like her normal writing style to me. It felt like I was reading like a YA book. She was pretty much saying the same thing repetitively in different fonts, and I don't know if it's because I think she's a neurologist in real life, or was at least. I think she still is, and she writes part-time. But because I know that, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's because she has the healthcare background background where you kind of have to reformulate your sentence to get your point across to whoever is not understanding it. And I was like, okay, I can appreciate her doing that then. Like, that's kind of cool that I'm seeing that side of her while I'm reading this, but also it was just kind of annoying to read because I'm like, you said that already. Like, you said that in a different way 2 seconds ago. Why are you saying that again? So that observation that I had, the lighting is just going in and out, babe. I'm just, honestly, at this point, should I even acknowledge it to you guys? Because obviously you can see it, but what? Sorry, you guys. It's annoying to me too. It's probably gonna piss me off editing this too, but whatever. Anyways, that little thought and observation that I had was cool after I took a moment and realized it. It was either that case scenario or she was just trying to reach her word count. Either or, we're gonna go with the positive and say that she was doing that intentionally to try and get it across to the reader in multiple different ways, but I mean, to each their own, whatever. I ended up rating this, I think I rated this 3 stars, but low-key I kind of want to rate it 2 stars. Let me check. Yeah, I did rate this 3 stars. So I guess we'll honor it and just keep it at a 3 because it was still entertaining, but the beginning was just not good. It was just not good. And the weird essay that took place was so uncalled for and had no reason to be in this book at all, in my opinion. There was no need for that. It was just, I don't know, whatever. Moving on. Honestly, I know that this entire mystery thriller trilogy by Frida is extremely popular and one of her most well-known works, but I honestly think that she has better books out there. Like, I don't think that the series is even that good, if I'm being honest. I'm just reading it because I have all the books now and it was hyped up on the internet, but that may change as we keep going. But yeah, this one fell flat. We'll see what I think of the third, but yeah, we're almost done. We have one more. All right, the last book. Are you guys ready? ACOTAR. I finally started ACOTAR by Sarah J. Maas. I have gone years without picking this up because of the hype, and I was waiting for the hype to die down, and it would not die down, and I just kind of lost interest. I was like, I don't even care. Like, if I missed that wave, whatever, it's fine. I've had this sitting on my TBR cart, and I made a poll for my friends to see what book I should read next, and everyone told me to read ACOTAR. They were like, how have you not read that? I'm like, I don't know. The reasoning behind me not reading this was totally by choice, and I'm having fun now that I'm in the series. Shocker. You guys probably have already read this or at least know about it. Maybe you're like me and we're waiting for the hype to die down to figure out if you should read it or not. I've had this sitting on my TBR cart for years. Like, I think since like COVID. I guess the hype is kind of down a little bit, but not really. People still talk about it, especially because I'm pretty sure Sarah J. Maas is gonna drop technically a 5th book in the series, but it's also, I'm sure you guys know this, but there's a novella between the 3rd and 4th book, so technically there's 5 books out right now, and Sarah J. Maas is making a 6th book, or technically the 5th book in the series. That is what people are saying and speculating. I don't think it's even been confirmed or not, but yeah, maybe it is a good time for me to finally have picked this up. For those who don't know, this is an adult fantasy or romantasy series about a huntress who meets a fairy or fae, and yeah, I don't know how to really explain it without giving any spoilers, but yeah, I went into this pretty much completely blind. All I knew was that this had fae in it, and that's all that I knew. I did not know until I finished the book and I looked at reviews and everyone was like, this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. That's why this literally felt like I had read it already. Like, I was so I was like, why does this sound so familiar to me? You would think that after 5 years, that after all the hype that this entire series has gotten, I would have known that by now. Maybe I just forgot it, but now I know. If I'm gonna be so honest, I actually already read the 2nd book in this series, so I'm just gonna be talking about this straight up from my notes because I already know certain things, and it's kind of funny, like, looking at my notes that I had on this now, but we're just gonna go based off of my notes. So I ended up reading this from April 25th to April 29th. My first note is, why are people either team Tamlin or Rysand? What about Lucian? In all caps. So real, so real. I was diehard Lucian after this book. I did not understand the hype behind either Tamlin or Rysand. I remember reading like up to page 250, and then I kind of lost interest and it kind of felt dull. Like, I don't even remember what happened between page 250 to 320. Like, I do not remember that. I don't even remember the first task in the book, I still don't know. And I already finished the second book, so like, whatever. It's just kind of lost in the wash. But once I got to like page 320, then it started to pick back up, and then I was like, oh, okay, Miss Sarah J. Maas, I see you. I get it now. Like, I totally understand. Something else that I wrote down was the end. I did not see that coming, and I genuinely felt a pit of despair during the third task. It's not what I thought, thank goodness, but still, wow, the spin was wild and cool. Yeah, that was crazy. Like, genuinely, that was crazy. I had so many hypotheses about what was happening. I'm trying to be so vague, even though a majority of people have already read this, I'm sure. I had so many hypotheses roaming around in my brain, and I really thought that I was right, and then I wasn't, and honestly, like, thank God, because, bro, I genuinely thought my heart fell to my butt when I thought who I thought it was. You know, I'm being so vague. I feel like I don't even need to be vague, but I'm going to be. I'm going to be respectful of the people who have not read it yet, but I genuinely felt a pit of despair when I thought I was right and I wasn't right. So it's okay, but I was tweaking at that point because I was like, no way. This next one says, Ryson is my runner-up baby daddy, but my heart is with Lucian. I don't even care if I'm not supposed to stan him, because why is he not stan worthy? I genuinely remember when Ryson was introduced and I was like, okay, yup, here it comes. This is what we all came here for. You know what I mean? I was like, this smooth ass, like, yeah. But I still, at the end of the book, I was die hard. I shouldn't say past tense, because I'm not supposed to say, but like, I'm gonna, whatever. I was die hard Lucian, okay? Like, obviously I knew that this was a romantasy before I even went into the book, just because of all the hype and what people have been saying and whatnot. I knew that it was a romantasy, and I was fully prepared for maybe some spice and smut or whatever. I had no idea what I was getting into. But yeah, it's definitely in there. It's definitely in there. It's definitely heavy spice, and honestly, that's not really my cup of tea. Like, I will say that this did give off insta-lovey vibes, and I hate that. It genuinely felt like our main character was getting SA'd multiple times, and I was just like, what? What is going on? Like, why are people hyping this book up? This is so messed up, you know? I mean, to be fair, there was one point when she did, and that was excused. Yeah, you know, that's why I wasn't team Tamlin or Ryson. That's why I wanted Lucian, because Lucian was the only sane person in this first book for the most part. For those who haven't read this is basically and I feel like everyone's just ignoring that fact, which, like, okay, sure. But yeah, I just had no idea what I was going into, and so that's funny. Anyways, I wanted to give this book 4 stars, but I ended up giving it a 3.5 just because I couldn't overlook the potential SA happening multiple times, and also because I just couldn't overlook some things that were going on that I just had to settle at a 3.5. I had a friend tell me before I even went into this that I just needed to get through the first book in order to enjoy the rest of the series, because the first book is the worst one in the entire series. So I had that mindset going into it anyway, that I was just like, okay, yeah, we just kind of got to tug through. And I did feel like kind of slumpy while I was reading it, especially during that like in between of page 250 to 320, because I thought that I just completely missed major points in the book. But after reading the second book now, I realized that I didn't miss it, and even if I did miss it, I now know the answers to my questions. So yeah, that's typically what happens when you continue a series. You end up figuring out the questions that you have in the preceding book. But I was tweaking because I was like, am I confused? Like, am I just being dumb and forgetting shit? Or were we never told anything about this? I'm being so vague yet again. But yeah, I still don't know if I just missed it in the first book or not, but it's okay because I got my answers now. I honestly was planning to do an entire reading vlog for each and every book of this series and just documenting my reactions, and I actually do have a video of me talking about the book with full spoilers that I've recorded on my phone. Yeah, if you want me to post that, then I gladly will, but there's spoilers in it, and I don't know. I mean, I just went over my review of the book. Is it worth the hype? I honestly want to wait to answer that question until I finish the entire series. I feel like that's fair, you know? I feel like that's fair for me to say. But yeah, just know that I rated this a 3.5, and after I finished this book, I literally broke my 4-month book buying ban in order to go get the second one, and I'm about to break it again to go get the third. So yeah, we're cruising. We're cruising for a bruising, okay? And obviously in my next reading wrap up, you'll be able to see my opinions on some of the other books that are in the series. But for now, this is the only one that I read within the March and April timeframe. So this is all that you're getting for right now. But yeah, that's the last one. We're ending it with a bang. There you go. Oh my God, can I even pick this up? Ooh, it's like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Okay, so these are all of the books. Oh my God, my hair. Hello? These are all of the books that I read in both March and April of this year so far. If you guys enjoyed this reading wrap up, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe. Also, I always have such a problem with putting these books down without creating a ruckus. Feel free to let me know if you guys even like these reading wrap ups or if you just prefer that I wait to do like a tier ranking at some point in time. I obviously will be doing a tier ranking at the end of the year, but I was thinking about doing a tier ranking for June, or yeah, by the end of June, versus doing these all bi-monthly because I don't know. I never know how many books I'm gonna read and it might get repetitive. I kind of feel like I personally enjoy reading vlogs more than I like reading wrap-ups, and I'm kind of leaning towards doing that versus doing this. But if you either want both or if you prefer one or the other, let me know down below, and also let me know your favorite read for the past couple of months as well so I can add it to my TBR. Hopefully we can get a 5-star within the next couple of months for you guys, but as of right now I think the only 5-star that I've had this year is better than the movies. A lot has come close, but yeah. Okay, anyways. Oh, I forgot to mention, I did recently start a book club, and little spoiler, we are currently in the middle of reading Perfume and Pain by Anna Dorn. It's free to join, it's on my Fable. I have it linked on my, I'm like plugging myself way too much. I need to stop doing that in my videos, but this is genuinely a new thing, and it's gonna be linked in the description box, and also it's always linked on my channel as well if you want to check it out or if you want to join. We are going to be choosing our June read within the next coming months. Within the next coming months, girl. I would hope so, since there's 2 weeks until June. Yeah, we're gonna be choosing our June read within the next coming weeks. So yeah, if you wanna help vote for our next pick, then be sure to join the book club and or check out my Bookstagram because that will also be linked. I need to stop. We need to stop this right now. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. I just forgot what I was doing. Peace. Au revoir. Bye!